everyone, it's Kimber Schaefer here with Rage in the Cage OKC News, and we are hanging out at the weight room, one of our official sponsors for Rage in the Cage 66. Right next to me is Jayme Bryant. He is making his debut fight for Rage in the Cage 66. It's all going down June 14th at the Oklahoma City Farmers Public Market. And like I said, you are a debut fighter, so the important question to most people is, what made you want to get in this cage for in the first place?
Well, I'm training at Lovato's and then now at the Judo and Jiu-Jitsu Club. You know, over the years I've kind of seen how fighters become really good friends after they fight. You know, and you put two different styles together, and you gain more respect for all the kind of tenacity and the dedication that you put into fighting. And for the most part, I mean, people become friends, right? So. But yeah, that's kind of the reason why. And I also want to test my skills to see where I'm at in the rankings, you know, with amateur MMA. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely true. I was actually talking to AJ Nichols, who is a pro fighter on this card just a few minutes ago, and you know, he talked about post-fight. Sometimes he'll go train with the person that he fought with, and it is the MMA community is, you know, kind of like a small family in some aspects. But not everybody becomes your friend afterwards. Just a warning. So not everybody does, but a lot of people do. And I see fighters all the time going to our after party and having a drink together. And so it is a small community, and for the most part, I think you do have that experience. So now, tell me a little bit about, you said you walked in Lovato's for the first time, but what made you actually want to walk in there? Did you have a background in wrestling or anything martial arts?
Yeah, so whenever I went to Carl Albert High School, I wrestled for a while there, and I always, I would see UFC and see these guys getting in and just battling it out, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. Something that just, I don't know, it really inspired me to do that. So I was actually looking online one day and saw Lovato's on the internet, and I was like, okay, why not? Go in there and I'll try. And I walked in there, and it was like a family setting, and I just kind of felt, I don't know, relieved every time I went and trained. It was a good stress reliever for me, but at the same time, I'm very competitive, and I have I don't know, I love it. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it other than that. It's freeing being able to go in there and relieve all the stress from the day, working, being able to go and just take it all out on the mats. Love it.
Well, and I love to hear that, because I know that it must be really intimidating when you know that you're walking into a place that trains, fighters that, some fight on the UFC, and of course they're at Lovato's. They've got Bellator fighters and Lovato himself. So it has to be that very first time you walk in just a little bit intimidating. But what I also find out is so many of those coaches realize that, and they are very welcoming once you walk in that door. And it sounds like you definitely had that experience at Lovato's.
Yes, I did. Matter of fact, one of the most fun experiences that I had with them, whenever the May 8th tornado came through Oklahoma and destroyed that huge part of Moore, we got our group together and went down as a family, and offered our services to people we cleaned up and everything. So it's definitely a family atmosphere for sure. It's very welcoming, and if the gym isn't welcoming, then you don't belong there. You can't be your best self.
So you're a debut fighter, and I know this for sure that our matchmaker will get a lot of fighters out there that will call her, and they've been training for 2 weeks, and they think they're ready to go on a fight card. What was your criteria or your coach's criteria before putting you into the cage?
Well, definitely when it came to like striking in the ground game, you want to make sure that you're able to actually defend yourself and not get in there and look like a defenseless child, basically. But you also have to have an amount of dedication. You can't just go and train, one day out of every week and expect to be able to be ready to fight someone that's been training straight every day for 4 months, like my opponent. So like it was just, basically I had to be in there every single day, and they wanted to make sure I was on point, so I wasn't going to get hurt and look like, I was defenseless.
Very good, very good. And so tell me a little bit about your training and where you're training at now, because I know you started at Lovato's and you've moved on since then to another gym that's closer to you. Okay. Tell me a little bit about there.
Well, so whenever I was training at Lovato's, there's a lot of Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, and whenever I moved over to Guerrilla Judo and Jiu-Jitsu, they teach a lot of Judo and Jiu-Jitsu and catch wrestling. It's more kickboxing than Muay Thai. That's what we train there.
Okay, and how long have you been there?
I've only been there for like a week.
Okay.
So I just started there.
Okay. So let's talk about your long-term aspirations. Of course, it's hard to talk about that as a debut fighter. I mean, you're just now going in the cage, but is this a one and done kind of thing, or do you really foresee this being, even if it's not a career on the big stage, just something you're going to hang with for a while?
Well, it's something that I once I start something, it's if I'm interested in it, I always pursue it further. I definitely want to make a career out of it, but I also know that sometimes life happens and you can't really, for lack of better words, you can't just really just do one and done. You can expect things to catch on later. But if I can pursue it later to where I'm able to go from amateur to pro and move it, I would love that, absolutely. But only time will tell. But for the most part, yes, I really want to follow up with it.
Well, awesome. I'm always, glad to hear that and happy for you. And I honestly, I love to see debut fighters, especially when you start for Rage in the Cage and I get to see you from ground up. In fact, back behind you there, we see Ken Coulter, who got his start at Rage in the Cage back. Literally his first fight for Rage in the Cage was my first night working at Rage in the Cage. So we've been through this process for 6 years together. And so it's always, and then AJ Nichols, the pro fighter that interviewed just before you, a couple of interviews before you, reminded me he had his amateur debut for Rage in the Cage. So it's always fun to see fighters go full circle. So can't wait. It may be 6 years down the line that I'm standing here with you or sitting here with you doing an interview and you're going off to the UFC. So like you said, only time will tell. I'm looking forward to that. Any shout outs or any last minute words about yourself before we wrap it up today?
I know I'm excited to have my debut and see how things go. I'm excited to see how Bo Paul reacts to my styles and how I react to his, and hopefully we gain that respect, mutual respect for each other. We're able to have a beer afterwards.
That's the big thing. He just wants to make sure that his opponent is up for a beer afterwards. All right, Jayme Bryant, guys. Rage in the K66 going down June 14th at the Oklahoma City Farmers Public Market. You can get tickets from this guy right here, any other fighter on the card, or of course at stubwire.com, and we will see you then.